Immortal Gates of Pyre is a strategy game where players lead armies as godlike generals to dominate the battlefield and conquer their rivals. Across 3 worlds, these immortals lead their proud and mighty civilizations to victory with unique troops and powerful spells. End quote. But on top of being a battle strategy RTS game with innovative and fun gameplay, even though I don't play much because there aren't bots yet and multiplayer scares me, it also has lore with depth rarely seen, even in long-running franchises. Ever since I first found the game, I have dived straight into the well-thought-out and extensive lore the game has to offer. And now I'm going to be trying to spread my understanding of it as far as I can. To start with, let's go over the game's title. Every word in the game's title is very important to the lore, other than of. The word Pyre has 3 meanings in IGP. Pyre is the name of the solar system the game takes place in, but it's also the name of the star. Pyre isn't a normal star, it's something called a god star. God stars are stars with some characteristics of an organism, such as internal organs and some capacity for thought. The god star's organs make byproducts with weirder properties than the real-life elements theirs produce. The third meaning of Pyre is the name for one of those byproducts. Along with Pyre, there are 2 other byproducts that use resources in the game. Alloy, which is a material in a super state of solid and liquid that forms out of ore when it's exposed to the energy of a god star. And ether, a magical fluid, liquid, gas, or plasma, formed when a god star interacts with the magnetic field of a planet. These are used as the main resources for construction in the game. Pyre is the most powerful of the known byproducts of Pyre. It is a crystalline substance made up of elements that the god star cannot process. This combination of properties makes it very energy dense and unstable, with high energy fog constantly boiling off of it. This high energy density makes it incredibly dangerous, but also incredibly useful to anyone able to process it. This brings us to the definition of the first word, immortal. In IGP, an immortal cannot die as the name suggests, but the main thing that makes someone a capital I immortal is the ability to process Pyre. Individuals can be able to process Pyre in many ways. It could be innate to their biology, done through magic, or done using technological augmentations. But how they process it is important, because no matter how they do, the result is a being who's not only immortal, but has godlike magical abilities. And I'm sure that what's been seen so far isn't even scratching the surface, so most magical abilities you've ever heard of are within the realm of possibility. In the game, these immortals take the form of your commanders. They do not actually exist on the battlefield as units, and instead you just use their magic from afar to assist the troops. The final part of the title is the gates. As I said in the intro, Immortal Gates of Pyre takes place over roughly 3 bodies, 2 planets and a moon. However, with most civilizations not having what it takes to travel through space, how do factions on different planets come into contact with each other? The answer is the gates. Gates are ancient portals made by several different precursor civilizations that connect up points all across the Pyre system. They haven't been working for centuries, but have recently opened up again, causing new cultural contact and therefore new conflict. Gates can go between the planets or between places on one planet, but exactly how common each type of gate is, or how common gates are in general, is unknown. With that, I've defined the title. Woo! Yeah, there's a lot going on. Now to move on, I'd like to talk about locations in the broadest sense possible. The planets. The 3 natural satellites, to use the technical term, that Immortal takes place across are the planets Nuath and Shael, and the moon Zur. Shael is the planet we know the most about so far, I think. Shael is a slightly bigger planet than Earth, with conditions similar to Earth during the Pleistocene period. In simpler terms, it's in a little bit of an ice age. This doesn't mean the whole planet is cold and snowy. What an ice age does is make the planet relatively dry, with lots of the water being in the polar ice caps. Shael has a high amount of arid biomes because of this. That isn't to say Shael is all one big desert either. It has plenty of temperate and wet regions, just less than Earth. Shael's civilization is the most familiar to Earth, containing the majority of Pyre's human population and also the most Earth-like makeup. Shael will also feel familiar because the human factions, Jorah and Talmetra, have cultures and technologies similar to the early 20th century. Most of this technology is derived from Ray, Shael's precursor civilization, of compassionate and adjacent people. Also on Shael are angels, offspring of the god stars. Angels depend on the devotion of others, but have godlike powers, and at least in the case of Karath, use those powers to help the humans who worship them. The second planet, Nuath, is Shael's opposite. Nuath is slightly smaller than Earth and a bit wetter than Earth. Again, it has other biomes, but the most prominent biomes in Nuath are its oceans and rainforests. The environment of Nuath is great for plants. Good enough that plants had enough energy and some kind of reason to evolve motility, meaning they can move. Nuath has lots of life that blurs the line between flora and fauna, including a sentient species, the Sylph. There's some variance among the Sylph. One culture of Sylph, the Ara, lean towards being more like animals. They're fiercely individualistic, eat, and engage in romance. The other culture of Sylph, the Iratek, are more plant-like. They photosynthesize and are grown from seeds or budding. Their minds aren't even permanently linked to their bodies. Other sentient support in Nuath are the dragon-taming humans called Kjor and Nazra, a snake-like precursor civilization. Finally, there's the wild card of the trio, Zur. Unlike the other two in many ways, Zur is a moon rather than planet. Zur has no major known precursor civilization of its own. and Zur is a hellish place where it is not known if there is anywhere one could find comfort or joy. Described as geologically undead, it is a place that has been forsaken by nature and any known force of good. The only faction known on this cursed rock are Herlesh, who are essentially the corpses of ancient Ray being puppeted around by the world's equivalent of elder gods. Zur is the world with the least known about it by the community. This is because of what I coined while writing the script, the slate smile effect. Essentially, when someone asks the devs, by which I mean mostly Dylan, a question about the lore that we aren't allowed to know yet, they reply with the Discord emote, slight smile. And then people tend to stop asking questions because it's a sign that they will not get an answer. Questions about Zur often get answered with the smile, meaning very little gets answered. The slight smile effect is also the reason for several other things left out. How common gates are, the current whereabouts of Ray and Nazra, and how exactly God Stars work, are things we just don't know yet. This finally brings me to the end of my little introduction to the lore of Immortal Gates of Pyre. I hope you liked it, and if you did, I hope that I can make my next Immortal video a little bit quicker than, 5 months? Than the 1 year this took. Bye.